Hi, people. I'm a buddy here, and I was hoping I would have found something like this on YouTube about a week and a half ago. What I'm putting on YouTube right now maybe would be able to help somebody in the future. I'm working on my it's a 1984 Ford van, and I had to get an ignition switch put in. What happened was, when I start the van and wouldn't start, you'd go to turn the key off. What happens when it would keep cranking like it wanted to start? Not the pre-ignition stuff. It's just this keep cranking stuff, like it would keep doing that. And then if I didn't put the key in right away and turn it on again, it would just keep doing that until probably something would burn out. So on the van, I was thinking right away to start her. So I took the starter out. I had it checked. The man told me the starter was fine. Somebody else was saying it could be the solenoid, the one that goes right on the Ford. It goes right onto the fender, right next to the battery there. And that was new. So the next thing somebody said, ignition switch. So I never put one of these in before in my life, and so I got something out of the library. I had a Chilton's Auto Repair manual. And this is 489 to 91, and it's an 84, but it's all similar. So first thing you gotta go do is you gotta disconnect the negative on the battery, the ground. So I did that. Then you gotta remove the steering column, the shroud, and lower the steering column. So what happens? I went under there. There was two screws, Phillips head screws, on the bottom of the dashboard there, like up and around the steering column. So I took them two screws out, and it looks like a piece of the dash, it's blue, it's the same color as the other, it comes out. Then you see these two bolts, one on each side, and four in the center bolts. And they're 9/16 of an inch bolts. The two of them, one on each side, they're the longest ones. You take them two out, and I noticed the steering wheel and the steering column started to come down. It don't come all the way down, it don't fall off, but it came down a little bit, so you pull on a little, and you could actually see this part there. And this is the ignition switch, but on here it's called the switch commutator interrupter. So this is it. And they put this here, this is the used one I took out of my van. This holds it in place, so it stays in place. So when you line it up, you put it on, the steering column like this here, it would go on. There's two nuts over here that come out, and it's on top of the steering column. Actually, this way it goes, I'm sorry. And on top of here goes your wire harness. And if you look in here, there's a slot. Right here's the slot. When you take it off, I'll tell you more about taking it out in a second. When you take it off, there's a rod, something that looks more or less like what I'm showing. Well, I'm trying to show you the rod here. See the little hook on the end of it? It looks something like this, but it's black. I did this with a coat hanger. And this comes down between down your steering column. There's a plastic cover there, and it comes down. And the end part hooks up to your key lock, where you start it on the side of the steering wheel. You turn your key and you start the truck. When it's on a lock position, that's how it's set, right here, on a lock position. So this piece, when you take this off, you'll see this piece dangling there, and then you gotta fit it right in here, like that. And then when you put these two bolts on, where these oblong holes are, see them? Goes on the steering column. And then when you go to start that truck, this thing here, it will move this up like that. That's in starting position. See? When you turn it off, it pulls it back up like this here. Starting like that, off like that. So when you start doing a job, you make sure you have the truck in a locked position, on lock. And then you put that on, and the 2 bolts, and you have your harness on top, and you should be all set. So what I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you a little more. Mine was a little loose, I noticed right here. This part here, and here, it moves up and down. So that could be the only problem with it there. See the way it's moving up and down? I don't know if you can see. Good. Make sure you see it? It just goes in and out. That could have been the whole problem right there. So here you go, people. And you disconnect the switch wiring. I had to do mine after. First I took the 2 bolts out, the 2 nuts that go onto the steering column. There were 7/16. I took them both out. And then I had to pull down on the steering wheel real hard. And then I reached in and I took the switch out, starter switch out. Then I took the harness off, just pried it off with a screwdriver. Then put the new one on that. Took the old one off, put the new one on. Then slipped it back in place under the steering column, under the wheel there. And then I put the wire in the slot. There's a slot. I didn't show you the slot. Let me show you the slot. Okay. Here is the slot right here. Let me do this. Come here, camera. I'm trying to show you the slot. See that slot right there? That's the slot where this goes. And it goes in like that and up here like that. See? Okay. See, right there. It would go into there. Because it can't rub. You can't put it in because it'll rub against your steering column. So it has to be in a slot. So you do the what do you call thing? You know, turn it on and off. It stays in that slot there. Okay? If you want more information, give me a holler. Because maybe I'm not explaining it to you too good. I'm not a professional instructor or teacher or nothing like that. I'm just somebody that wished I saw a tape like this before I tried it. Okay, and then I took the switch out. I put my harness onto the new one and slipped it back on. And they're 7/16 nuts. I put them on the studs that were coming out of the steering column. And then I was all set, and I put everything back in place. My 2 9/16 bolts, and the other four bolts are 9/16, but they're shorter. But in case you need to get the plate out of the way, you take them off too. Then put them back, and then put your steering wheel back in place. You put the 2 Phillips head screws back on that little cover for cosmetic purposes, and you're all set. Okay, there's Buddy here, over and out. I hope you learned a little something for Ford Vans E150 ECONOLINE. Mine was an 84 out there, but usually up into the 90s, it's the same thing. Take care now, people. God bless.